Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just going to list off a bunch of facts. Instead, we are diving deep into one trader's personal journal, a journal of failure, really, to uncover the lessons that could save you a ton of time, a ton of money, and honestly, a lot of heartache in the Forex market. And this quote right here, it's really the heart of our explainer today. The whole goal is to give you a crash course in what not to do, straight from somebody who's actually been in the trenches. So the question is, which one will you be? All right, let's jump right in. We're going to follow his journey and see how good intentions, mixed with a little bit of euphoria and some really common psychological traps, can lead to absolute disaster. And more importantly, what he learned from it all. Okay, first up, we have to understand the Forex failure cycle. Seriously, this is a predictable and super costly trap that something like 99% of new traders fall right into. You know, it almost always kicks off the same way. You feel like a genius on a demo account, right? Playing with a huge amount of fake money. But then reality hits. You open a small, real account, and that money just disappears. Instead of figuring out why, so many people run to online gurus for answers, and they just end up repeating the exact same mistakes, but with even more money on the line. So, as our trader found out the hard way, the biggest battle you're going to fight in trading, it's not with the market. Nope, it's the one inside your own head. Let's dig into the psychological traps that are really the foundation for most trading failures. And this first one, man, it's the big one, impatience. It's that raw desire to get rich like yesterday, and it just completely overrides any kind of logical strategy. It's all fueled by these wild, unrealistic goals. Like our author who wanted to make $10,000 a month from Forex when he was just 20 years old. And check this out, because it shows you just how much worse this problem is getting. We've shifted from a slower, more patient approach to this high-frequency, almost chaotic style of trading. Our need for instant gratification means trades are now held for just a few minutes, not hours. And that just pours gasoline on the fire of risk and emotional decision-making. Now, this next one is going to sound a little weird, but stick with me. One of the absolute worst things that can happen to you as a new trader is getting a big, early win that was pure luck. It creates this powerful, totally false sense of skill, and it leads to some really crippling overconfidence. And our trader, well, he experienced this firsthand. He pulled in a profit of $1,900, a staggering amount. And get this, he did it in a single hour. In his mind, he'd done it. He'd cracked the code to the markets. The euphoria was just overwhelming. He felt invincible. And this is what's so incredible. This is a page from his actual journal. You can see the emotion right there on the page. And that powerful feeling, that sense of being a genius, that's what made him hold on. He didn't take the profit, he hoped for more, and he ended up losing his entire $3,000 deposit. So that big loss, that Euphoria trip, it leads us right into our next section, the knowledge gap. These are the mistakes that happen when you start listening to all the wrong voices online. I mean, let's be real, the internet is it's flooded with noise. New traders get hit with this constant barrage of useless info from people who, a lot of the time, have never actually succeeded themselves, but they are more than happy to sell you their secrets. So what's the solution? Well, it's this powerful piece of advice from the author. You have to tune out all that noise. Instead, focus on learning from proven, successful investors. You know, the ones with public track records, like a Benjamin Graham or a Warren Buffett. Okay, so we've covered psychology and knowledge. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the practical, strategic blunders that traders are making every single day right at their desks, right? You know the scene, right? Your trading screen is just a mess of open positions. It's so cluttered you've completely lost track of the strategy. You might not even remember why you opened half of them. And that just leads to paralysis and really, really bad decisions. And the author's solution here? It's so simple, it's almost genius. The physical act of writing down every single trade forces you to confront them one by one. It brings this immediate sense of clarity. And it's great training to make sure you don't get into that mess again. Okay, this next mistake is subtle, but man, it is an absolute account killer. See, a $35 profit on a $1,000 account? It feels kind of small, right? Maybe even disappointing. But in reality, that's a 3.5% return in 1 week. Annually, that's an incredible 42% return. When you only focus on the dollars, you completely distort your perception of risk and reward. And that brings us to the climax of his story. Because he was only thinking in dollars, chasing those bigger and bigger wins, he managed to pull off this absolutely mind-boggling return in just over a month. He turned $380 into almost $7,000. I mean, he must have felt like a king, but here, in his own handwriting, is the exact moment he realized his account was, in his words, doomed. He had absolutely no concept of the insane, unsustainable risk he was taking to generate those dollar figures. And the fall, well, it was just as fast as the rise. A massive profit built entirely on euphoria and a total lack of percentage-based thinking just vanished. It turned to dust in 3 days. So after all that failure, all that pain, what was the ultimate lesson? It was the final realization that the thing he'd been chasing the whole time, it was the wrong thing. And here it is. This is the key takeaway from this entire story. The holy grail of trading isn't some secret strategy you buy online. It's not a magic robot. It's the simple, kind of boring, but totally unconditional discipline to follow the rules that you have developed and tested for yourself. Look, by learning from this one trader's very painful journey, you have the chance to bypass years of struggle and financial loss. The real question isn't whether you can learn these lessons, it's whether you'll have the discipline to actually apply them.